right, welcome to the Krueg Show on feels like a Friday night, but it's actually a Wednesday night. Larry Kruger, Dan Coach Emilio, Brian Smith is editing right now. We invited Cy, but not until kind of late, and we invited Barry, a baller, tonight as well. Also, a tad on the late side, so I don't know if we'll have those guys stop by or not, but we have all of you in the chat to talk with, and we appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat. I see Romo 2001. This is like a romper room. I see Sally. I see Marcus. I see Philip. I see Carlos. Romo 2001 is in the house. He is one of our channel members. Eric Hernandez in the house. He is one of our channel members. So Vicky Boone in the house. She is one of our channel members. So just a few people out of the chute. Eric says push record. Are we not rolling? Yeah, we are rolling.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Yeah, we're rolling. Push record. Push record, Larry. All right. I did it. Jimmy Robinson says, nice hat, Danny. You get a new hat?
Thank you.
Is that
pretty new. Yeah, pretty new. Last weekend. Little
lids.
What do they call it? Camouflage? Yeah.
Little camouflage hat.
Yeah.
124-107, Clippers beat the Warriors. Warriors beat the Clippers. Warriors cover the 10. I think the spread moved up to 10. The Clippers played without Paul George tonight. They played without Kawhi Leonard, and they were just shorthanded. And the Warriors had, they had Draymond, Wiggins, Looney, Curry, Thompson. I mean, they had almost the full contingent tonight.
Yeah.
So, and Golden State, got nice balance scoring off the bench. And ultimately they win this game 124-107. It was 32-29 at the end of the first quarter. Golden State pulled away with a 34-18 second quarter. Clippers got back into it a little bit in the third, but not really. And Golden State wins at 124-107. 31 for Wiggins, 9.7 rebounds, 12 assists for Draymond Green, 22 for Steph on 9 of 20 shooting. Wasn't a great night shooting for Steph, but 4 of 10 from beyond the arc, 18 for Klay Thompson in 27 minutes. Another down game for Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole shot 3 of 15 in 22 minutes, wound up with 8 points, 1 rebound, and 5 assists. What's going on with Jordan Poole?
Well, gee, I don't know. He just looks like he's just throwing up shots at times just to, guys are, I'm not sure, but the way they moved the ball tonight was very impressive. Been noticing the big change since after the Phoenix game with a lot of ball movement, seeing JaMychal Green come in, take some big minutes as the backup center. DiVincenzo is out there looking good. Klay looks like he's found his stroke, 10 of 13 last game against Houston. Tonight, you got the stats in front of him. It looks like he was about 40% from 3 tonight. What was he about?
Klay was 3 of 7.
3 of 7, okay. So over
from
40%.
Beyond the arc.
Yeah, so again, over 40%. So that's, getting that back. Last 2 games, I guess if you counted as 10 for 13, he's 13 for 20. So shooting the last 2 games 65% or 55%, right?
Well,
60,
I thought the big key in tonight's game, Golden State was plus 24 at the 3-point line. They made 19 threes to 11 for the Clippers. That had a huge impact. Golden State beat them on the glass. They were plus 2, 45-43. Plus 2 on the defensive glass, even, or plus 2 on the offensive glass, even on the defensive glass. 36 assists for Golden State, only 13 turnovers, while they harangued and harassed the Clippers into 17 turnovers. And then Golden State, I thought, the other thing is 18 points on the break, plus 8 on the break, 18-10 on the break, plus 2 points in the paint for Golden State. So, shows an overall convincing win. But when you look at this game, when you have no Kennard, he didn't play, he's got the right calf strain, and then no Paul George and no Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers aren't the Clippers. And I kind of feel bad for the people who buy tickets to these games because the tickets are ridiculously expensive. And, the Clippers, no Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that's like going to an amusement park and the top 4 roller coasters are all broken.
Down.
It's like,
Exactly.
is it as fun to go to Disneyland if you can't ride the Matterhorn or the new Star Wars rides, or you take away 4 or 5 of the top, rides. It's like, it's not the same amusement park. So
Right.
that's kind of, the other aspect of this is that, it's just when I kind of feel bad when I know back in the day, Jordan played 82. I mean, these guys played 82 games. Now it's like, and I see the comparisons to baseball and other sports, and they're like, well, they rest in baseball. Baseball's a daily sport. This is more like a twice a week, 3 times a week sport. But for whatever reason, they've tried to stretch out the schedule. They've tried to do what they can to eliminate this, as many back-to-backs as possible, because the back-to-backs are, basically where you need the rest, where you got to have the rest. So it's just, it's one of those things where it's a tough situation for the ticket buyer. If you're going to pay full freight, but you're not getting, you don't go into any restaurant and order filet mignon and then have them say to you, you know what? We're out of filet mignon, but we got flank steak. Oh, but by the way, it's at filet mignon prices. You know what I mean? Right there, if somebody actually tried to give you flank steak and charge you for filet mignon, you'd be outraged. But we've now been conditioned to kind of accept it as, just being a modern fan. It's like, oh, the players need a certain amount of rest. Guess what? If the players need so much rest that you're going to charge, full freight, and the fans are going to get screwed, how's that a good business proposal?
Yeah.
How's that good? Oh, I'm gonna run Lenardi's markets, and people are going to come and they're going to order, a fillet, and I'm going to charge them. I'm going to charge them fillet prices, even if we run out of fillets and we just anything we, it's like, come on, you can't do that. You have to adjust. And I just don't like this situation where the fans get screwed. And yet I'm not saying I don't want to be a slave driver. They should be playing all 82 games. Fine. They need to rest. They need to rest. Let me rest my cash. If you want to rest your player, let me rest my wallet.
Yeah.
And that would be my, counter. You want me to support this endeavor? You got 82 games. It's to me, the two philosophies that do not jive, and I can't get beyond it. We'll get into basketball and Aaron Judge and other things, but the two things that don't jive are, resting guys when they're healthy and dynamic pricing. You can have one,
right?
You can't have both. You can't charge me more for a game on, Wednesday against, blankety blank team, and then pull all your starters out of that game. So now, I mean, think about it. You're paying a premium for certain games, and then the players sit and it has no impact on the price. It's like, I mean, how is that fair? How is it fair to dynamically price a game, up 40, 50, 60 bucks a ticket, and then be totally okay with, resting when healthy?
Yeah.
Me, I just don't think those are not, those two things cannot go together. Either don't have dynamic pricing and we'll all just take a roll of the dice, or have dynamic pricing, but don't have this, hey, you know what? Second half of a back-to-back, we're resting our stars. Don't do that. Or do it on the road. Do it on the road. People say, well, why? And then you're screwing the road fans. Yeah, but why screw the home fans? I don't like dynamic pricing and, resting fully healthy 25-year-old athletes. Just either, and if they can't play the schedule, cut the schedule down. We were talking about, the Warriors' slow start and what it means. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Why? Because it means nothing. By the time they're going to contend for a title, it's going to be May or June. there is no such thing as, there's no team that ever is walking around saying, we would have won the title last year. Well, why didn't you? We didn't make the playoffs. What? No. You know what I mean? There's no team in the NBA that is walking around saying we would have won the title if we had just made the playoffs. Everybody
Exactly.
worth a damn makes the playoffs.
Still 63 games left. 63. I mean,
I think like Golden State, like they've had some problems early in the year, but is anybody really concerned about their problems? Or do you just kind of figure, you know what? Kerr's pretty smart. Myers is pretty smart. Lacob's pretty rich. They got a ton of assets. They'll figure it out. I don't know if Wiseman will be there. I don't know if Kuminga will be on the team. I don't know if Moody will be on the team. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But guess what? I got faith in Kerr, faith in Myers, faith in Lacob, faith in the team. And I think they'll probably get it going.
Yeah, and I think you got to give it 25, 30 games before you can really evaluate. Look, it looks to me like they're making some progress with the second unit by starting Green now in the second and fourth quarters, starting Green on the second unit along with Wiggins. And so you got DiVincenzo out there, and I think Poole might have been out there, and even Kuminga. Maybe they were keeping Kuminga in there more with the starters when they subbed him in. But yeah, getting that second unit solidified with some veteran presence. And I don't know is Andre going to suit up at all this year? Or is he just, I mean, he's taken one of the roster spots. I got to imagine at some point they're going to suit him up probably this next year sometime and get him 15 games in before the playoffs, just so he's, gets the kinks out, I imagine.
Iguodala?
I think they'll play him once a week, maybe, something like that.
I think Iguodala is there for, coach on the floor. He can confront the stars in a way maybe Kerr and the coaches can't.
Right.
He can say things to players to motivate them that maybe Kerr and the coaching staff can't. He can relate to a Kuminga or a Moody or Draymond or anybody maybe better than Kerr and his staff can. I think that's what Andre's there for. I don't think Andre's going to have any meaningful role at any point in this season. Do you?
I think he's going to play a little bit. I do. I don't know why they would just take up a roster spot unless they have a plan of, moving him off that roster spot, bringing someone in and just, making him a player or just a coach at that point. But to me, I think they don't want to get him. I think they just let these guys play for a while, and then maybe Andre becomes like that trade deadline acquisition, that comes in and he's practiced all year, he's ready, and then, let's face it, we know he's not going to play a ton of minutes, but if he does play, it will be meaningful minutes, like meaningful in the sense, not in abundance of number of minutes, but meaningful minutes. If he plays 6-7 minutes, it's going to be very important 6-7 minutes. That's where I see Andre making a contribution this year, and I do think it'll be probably more of the second half.
It's just hard to see him, staying healthy at all for any period of time. I think they just kind of rewarded him and saying, you know what, let's have another guy on the roster that has been there, can calm people down. The Warriors are 9-10. They're 8-1 at home, but they've struggled mightily on the road. And this is a very young team. You really think about it. You think about all the guys they have in this team that are really babies: Kuminga, Lamb, Baldwin, Poole, Moody, Rollins. You got a lot of young guys here. You got 5 or 6 guys that are like 22 or younger.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it may help to have a guy like Iguodala there. But as far Jake Jaguayo 56 says, here's $2. If the Dubs couldn't beat the injured Clips, it'd be a bad sign. Yeah. I agree. There's no question about that. And Mark Graves says Andre at this point is a coach on the bench. And I agree. Portola 45 says Andre's taking up a roster spot. If he wants to coach, sit behind the bench and hold the clipboard. So, yeah, I mean, there's also can the Warriors afford to, I guess you could use the word waste a roster spot on a guy who really maybe has no designs on playing at all. But obviously they feel enough, loyalty to Andre to feel like, you know what, he's exactly what they want at this point in time. So, it's a tough call, but in a way, how you bring a young team along really does matter. And so if they're gonna do this to bring him along, bring along the young guys, and they want to have a veteran in the room, I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing. But I will say this: when you look at Golden State, they got a really good starting five, and they're not getting, really good production off their bench. Poole is just I don't know what's wrong with him this year, but he was 0 for 8 from 3 tonight, 3 of 15 from the field. He did have 5 assists, had a couple turnovers, but I mean, I guess you could look at the plus minus and say plus 19, good night, but 8 points in 22 minutes. I don't know if it's the contract or if it's Poole, but Poole just looks like, I really love the way he looked against San Antonio when he was going aggressively to the bucket. But when he's not going aggressively to the bucket, man, you're sitting there going, you paid this guy $35 million, a 6'3" combo guard who had a great 25, game run in garbage time at the end of last year without Steph, and he could just hoist at will. And, I mean, he's a good player, but $35 million a year for Jordan Poole. I mean, to me, that's a dramatic overpay. I know everybody, he's a good player, but come on, he's not worth that. He's not worth the money. He's overpaid. Would you agree, Danny?
It's appearing that way right now.
Well, he's definitely regressed.
But it's kind of tough because with the contract that Tyler Hero signed, it was kind of like, what are you going to do? I mean, that was the going rate, and they bumped it up a little bit, probably because they had a title. And was Jordan going to walk, or and I think that contract was actually probably earned a little bit more money after the punch. I mean, there's probably an extra $10 million in there over the life of the contract because of the punch. I mean, that would have been he kind of gained some leverage there.
You think the punch brought him extra cash?
I think so. I mean, all of a sudden he's kind of like, he signed a few days after that. It was kind of like, hey man, do I want to stick around here? This is kind of I think the Warriors wanted to reward him and show, hey, you're our guy for the future.
We went to Santa Clara today and sat down with a number of the 49ers, and we got them to do their pitches for Aaron Judge coming to the Giants. And a number of the guys, and if Rye joins us, I don't know if he will tonight, but we'll let you see some of those videos, and we'll put them out on social media if Rye doesn't join us later on. But it was kind of entertaining. A couple of the 49er players said who? Didn't know who Aaron Judge was.
Really? Interesting.
Now, how surprising is that to you? Because to me, that was unbelievably surprising. You don't know Aaron Judge? You don't recognize it? It's one thing to say, hey, I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I've never heard of Aaron Judge. I mean, really? Mark Graves says, what time does Judge sign with the Giants tomorrow? Yeah. Well, if it was like the KD signing on the 4th of July, it would be in the morning. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't KD sign in the morning?
Yeah, it'd be in the morning, but it's not looking like.
What's it looking like, Danny? What are you hearing?
I'm not hearing much. It's just, it's all conjecture at this point. I did hear Jeff Passan say on Michael K's show, all signs are pointing to a Yankee return, but that was just like a 5-second clip, and there was no, nothing big on it. And I just think that I'm going to say it's just believe it's with the Giants, just simply because I don't think Judge comes to the Bay Area, gets all the fans excited. His hometown fans, his ballpark he grew up going to, learning and loving baseball, watching his team play, and then to just kind of spend 2 days here and then go back and say, yeah, it was nice, but I'm gonna go to the Yankees. I mean, to me, if you're gonna do that, I think you're looking at
why have such a high profile
exactly why do it
visit?
a high
Why have
profile?
NBC Sports Bay Area?
Yeah,
Don't tell me that they hang out at the airport. They don't.
Yeah. I gotta believe
somebody tipped them off and said, "Get to the airport. Aaron Judge is coming in on this
Right.
airline at this time," and they had a camera crew there. So would you do that to get your hometown all excited and riled up to basically kick him in the nuts and say, you know what? No, I'm staying here. I'm staying in New York. Just seems like if you wanted to get the Giants offer, but you really were leaning towards staying in New York, you could easily secure the Giants offer and leverage it to the Yankees without this public song and dance.
Oh yeah.
To me, to involve a public song and dance and to get the fans involved, I don't know, Matt. That just doesn't make sense. You would really do that to your hometown at Thanksgiving weekend so you could maybe squeeze a couple more bucks out of the big bad Yankees? That
Right.
seems unlikely to me.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel too, So we'll see what happens. I was hoping maybe it would come down this weekend. The Giants announced today a kind of a Black Friday sale on season tickets Friday morning till Monday. $5 game tickets with no fees. So anybody out there who wants to maybe jump ahead and buy some tickets for $5, I would imagine they're up there in the nosebleed section or something for $5. I mean,
Eric L says, I think Steph Curry will get him here. Is Steph part of the Giants pitch? Is that the deal?
They had Steph. They hooked him up with Steph yesterday. I don't think it was in person, but they did hook him up and, try and get him to, and some other Bay Area athletes, or from the Niners and, trying to tell them to come here. Hey, Warriors won a title. Niners, we're going to win a title. How about you guys, win a title with the Giants? So, it looks like I was hoping we'd hear something, over Thanksgiving. It would have been great. And, unless they're just kind of, it's a setup and they're downplaying it, like it's not going to happen until right around the winter meetings, which is December 4th through 7th.
I'll say this. I mean, Farhan has done a pretty good job as a general manager, but he's done a terrible job at selling his plan to the fans. The fans, they have the 1 year where the team won a crazy number of games, but did they really capitalize that year? It was right in the middle of the pandemic. The attendance was still pretty low. I don't know. It didn't seem like they got any momentum at all off of the 107 season. I mean, maybe I'm misreading that, but I didn't sense it.
Momentum. They didn't get any
coming
momentum.
off of a 107 win year. You have the lowest attendance in the history of the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously they did not capitalize on the 107 wins. I just think that when you look at their situation now, it's like, okay, they're an iconic franchise. And I tweeted this earlier today. I said the Giants franchise is iconic. And then a couple people were asking how many franchises in the game today are iconic franchises. I would say 5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah, you've got, I say, let's see, Yankees and Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants, that's 4, Cardinals, 5.
Reds are one of the original franchises.
Yeah, they are. I
mean,
guess
I would
maybe
say the Reds are kind
maybe
of
the
an iconic
Reds, and
franchise.
maybe you put the Cubs in there just because of the
Cubs
so
for
maybe
sure.
seven.
Braves. What about Braves?
Yeah, Braves are
This is the
definitely. I
Turner,
guess Braves
TNT,
are.
and TBS.
So you got 8 teams right there that are pretty iconic. Yeah, you've got I don't know if the Mets. I wouldn't put the Mets in there yet.
No, the
No.
Mets are not like Mets didn't even exist until
until 50.
Until 60, wasn't it
61,
62? 62, I think.
62, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're only 60 years old.
Someone said the Guardians, maybe the Guardians. I mean, the Indians have been so bad for so long, but I said that the Giants franchise is iconic. It's not going to change if Aaron Judge says, you know what, I don't want to come here. But in my opinion, the current regime is in its moment. Farhan, Gabe, the current ownership, the direction they go this offseason will define them going forward. And I kind of threw it out to the Twitterverse. What will they do in their moment? Because this is their moment, and what should they do in their moment? What do you think, Danny? I mean, is it more important? See, the question is this: is it more important to build, build a team that people want to watch, or is it more important to just try to build a winner? And if you build a winner, people will come. See, that's the one thing
I think you can do. I think you
can
can do both. To me, it's pretty simple. Just go out, get Judge. If you got to overpay, get him. Go get Bellinger on a 1-year deal. Pay him. The one thing the Giants have in favor is money. So go out and do that. Judge, Bellinger, get Correa. I think Correa would be, or Bogarts. I don't know. Swanson. I'm okay with any of the 4, but I prefer Correa just because he's a great defensive player and he's the youngest, and he's got a pretty solid bat. So if you got those 3 guys and added a starting pitcher that's a number 2 pitcher, a 1-2 pitcher, now you can fill in the rest. You can, I mean, like you said, Larry, you can even use some of your top farm prospects to make a trade for someone like a Corbin Burns or something, because now you don't have to worry about, we got to get some guys in here. I do think the best way to build the team long-term is through the farm system. I don't want to see just all free agents. So, I would like to see Luciano and Schmidt here. I think Schmidt will be up here next year sometime by the summer. I think Harrison makes his debut sometime next year. So there's 2 guys that are coming up. I think Luciano is in 24. He makes an appearance and makes his in 24. If you've got a nucleus of guys like a Correa and a Judge and some other vets, then Luciano, there's not the pressure on him. And I think he can be I don't think he's going to be a shortstop in the big leagues. I think I don't think his glove fits shortstop. I think he could be a third baseman, but you got Schmidt there. So you can make him a left fielder, or you can make, a DH. You could even put him in right field at some point. And if you did get Judge, you can move Judge over to center field. Judge could play center field. He played it this year with the Yankees. So,
that's the thing about, and I brought this up as well, just that in some ways the shortstop could be the key to the offseason rebuild, because if you do get a top shortstop, then you could probably trade Marco Luciano, and a guy like Luciano is probably going to be what it's going to take for the Giants to get any significant piece. You're not just going to be able to trade Sean Jelly. Sorry. They're going to want Luciano. So then it's a matter of, okay, do you make that move? Do you move Marco Luciano? I think if I'm Farhan, I'd be a little concerned right now based on how the prospects that I've drafted have fared, to just have my whole tenure here be some, some referendum on my drafting. You know what I'm saying? In some ways, I think this is the free agent market for them to go get a Judge, go get a top tier shortstop, trade Luciano for an ace, and, start to really compete. I mean, the one thing about the Dodgers is the Dodgers got Freddie Freeman, but they still want Aaron Judge.
Right.
And the Padres got Juan Soto, but they're still going after Jose Abreu. And so it's like AJ Preller and Andrew Friedman are not going to slow down building a World Series caliber team. They're all in. So I don't think you can play these, Stewie Fairchild 4A, promotion games with guys who are borderline big leaguers. You can do that stuff. You can do this like huge shuffle of players on your 25 man and on your 40 man. If you do that in addition to making smart trades and free agent signings, you cannot do that in lieu of smart trades and free agent signings. You can't just keep jockeying the 25th guy up and down, jockeying all these 4A ball players up and down, playing all these 40-man roster games, guys that you acquire on a Wednesday, you're releasing on a Friday, guys you're picking up then on a Saturday, you're releasing 10 days later. I mean, you can't play those games and have that be all that you do without being synonymous with it. So right now, until Farhan proves otherwise, what has he done? What's the greatest thing that Farhan's done as a general manager? I would say probably signing Rodon and Peterson. But what's that?
Yeah, Rodon, Peterson, and Gosman. I mean, that's really about it. I mean, the trade that they got, Chris Bryant really was credited to the kid, Scott. What's the kid's name? The GM that just left?
Scott Harris.
Harris. Yeah, because he had a relationship with Bryant from his days at the Cubs.
And they let Bryant walk at the end of the year, and they wound up giving Caleb Killian and Alexander Canario. And I have a feeling eventually that deal will look good for the Cubbies.
Yeah. The deal that I think is going to come back to bite him is Prelander Baroa for Donovan Watson. Baroa, if you look at his stats, the guy's like a strikeout king. He pitches like 50 innings and has 80 strikeouts and low ERAs, 22. I'm like, what did you give up Prelander Baroa for Donovan Walton? I mean, Donovan Walton's you can find.
Well, to me, I would say the Kervin Castro. Kervin Castro.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Kervin Castro for a week and a half of Dixon Machado.
Yeah, and the Astros signed him today, Machado. I guess
did they?
Watch him break out.
Player.
Watch him break out. But I mean, it's just. It doesn't seem to make any sense to.
But what's the smarter play? I mean, would you rather build a team that is going to pack the stands and create the buzz like an Aaron Judge, or do you think it's more important to kind of try to just build the team and don't worry about a headliner and?
I think you do both.
Spread that money around. Would you rather spread the money around or go for the star?
No, I'm doing both because they have the money to do both. Look at San Diego. They have half the assets that the Giants have. And they've got Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, and Manny Machado all signed in big contracts. And they're 3 stars of the game. And they were in the NLCS this year. And and they did this without Tatis. They're going to be back. So, and the Dodgers, even if they lose Trey Turner, they'll replace him with somebody else. And they got Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. So the Giants can't just go out and get guys that help them win that are not stars. They need a star or 2. I think they need 2. I really do. I don't think Judge is enough. I think 2 would be really big, and then hopefully one of your guys comes up from the farm and maybe becomes one of those stars. But get Judge inked for 8 to 10 years, and get Correa inked for 8 to 10 years. And I mean, if the Padres can afford to do this, why can the Giants not do this? I mean, the Giants have way more revenue than the Padres,
right? So, well, and it's just like it's a matter of whose call should this be? Like
mine.
I was talking to somebody the other day who's in the organization, and he's like, "Yeah, I think Farhan would like to spread the money around." Okay, I get that, I talked to Ned Coletti, I remember, in the late 90s, and we just one of the things we discussed, would Brian Sabian have even signed Barry Bonds if he had been given that opportunity before the 93 season, or would he have invested that money differently and spread it around the roster? It's always going to be more practical to spread the money around the roster or to go for pitching. But the Giants didn't let their general manager, first of all, Sabes wasn't here then, but they didn't let Bob Quinn make that call.
Yeah.
They made the call. Larry Baer and Peter McGowan made the call. And it's like, who should make the call now? Should it be Larry Baer and the Giants ownership group?
Yes.
Or should they stay out of it and say, what,
No,
Farhan is our
can't let-
architect and Farhan's making the call?
You cannot let Farhan do all of the dealing because he's proven himself to be cheap and he hasn't won one deal yet. He hasn't brought in anybody of significance through free agency or a trade. Yes, Rodon was a significant signing.
This is year what for Farhan?
This is year 5 now. This is entering
this is
year
going
5.
23 will be year 5.
Yeah, year 5. And you've had 4 years and you have no star. I mean, who's the star of the Giants? Name one star. I mean, besides, I know we all love Crawford, but he's tailing at the end of his career, toward the end of his career. He's an excellent shortstop.
Danny, forget star. They don't even have an everyday guy.
Right. They have none.
They don't even have non-platoon players.
Zero. I was telling somebody
who on the Giants is absolutely not a platoon player. Crawford.
No,
and even Crawford. I'd like to see Crawford get more rest.
Yeah.
Have more rest
I was
days.
talking to somebody today, and I said to him, if I lived in Vacaville, moved to Vacaville, and I was covering, doing stuff, covering the Giants.
You could be hanging out at the nut tree.
Yeah, exactly. With the present roster that they have and what they put out there last year, where would I rather go? Sacramento and watch the young kids come up, or go to the Giants games? And it's no question about it. I'd rather go to Sacramento and see the guys coming up because at least I have something to look forward to. If I'm going to watch the Giants play with the guys they wheel out there, forget it. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. That is a franchise. What they put out there,
they were bad and boring. You don't want to be
4A.
Bad and boring.
Yeah, they were 4A, Larry. They were 4A last year
with major league prices.
Yeah.
They were literally the equivalent of flank steak being charged filet mignon prices. It was, no offense, but and then to sit there at the end of the year and hear Farhan say, we need to get younger and more athletic, and we need to, have more everyday guys. And then it's like, Yaz re-signed him $6 million. He sucked. He was horrendous last year. He had 220.
Even Peterson,
he had 220 the last 2 years.
Peterson,
so he's not a good hitter. Lamont Wade's terrible. They want to bring him back.
And Listella's still on. Why is Listella hanging around? Why haven't they just,
Well, he's got a contract for $11 million for next year.
Find somebody at the winter meetings that is willing to take Will Wilson and trade them.
Well, that's the other thing. Listella made 11, and what did DeSclafani make this year? 12?
Yeah.
So those two guys are making roughly the kind of money that you could get like Judge for.
Close. You're going to take 40.
Maybe a little bit less.
But if you threw him and Wood in, Wood's up there at 10.
DeSclafani and Listella, you're committing $20 million plus
25
to DeSclafani and Listella, and you're gonna maybe not want to go after Aaron Judge. Nobody is buying tickets to see Listella or DeSclafani. People would buy tickets to see Aaron Judge.
Sure.
So right there, you're better off. I don't get it. I don't get their mindset. And to me as a fan, it's going to be expensive. We know it's going to be expensive. That's okay. We've come to expect that, but you got to deliver on entertainment. And if I'm a Bay Area sports fan and I got X number of dollars to spend on entertainment, do I want to save it up to watch Steph and Draymond and Clay and in May or June make a run at a title? Or do I want to pay that same amount of money and watch Stewie Fairchild and all these donkeys?
Hey, if they strike out, if
pretend
they
they're major
strike
leaguers
out,
for 2 weeks.
if they strike out with all these guys and end up with, Brandon Nemo and Will Myers or something like that, and they say, hey, we really improved our team. I mean, I would just fire Farhan right then and there, and I say, you know what? Go create your own new Savannah Banana company. Go. You're not cut out for the major leagues if that's what comes back. And I don't even know why that Mitch Haniger is being linked to the Giants when they've got.
Because he's from Bellarmine. He's a Bay Area guy. If they strike out on Judge, they can plug him in. But he's 32 with a ton of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Evan Longoria all over again.
That would be so Giants to talk Judge and overpay for Mitch Haniger. You know what I mean? That would be so Giants. That would be just so typical of what they typically do. And people would say, well, why are you so negative? They could do something great and you'd be super negative. Hey, how about this, guys? Try me. Do something great. Yeah. Try me. See if I'll rip it. Yeah. Yeah, I've ripped it because I'm a straight shooter and I'm not bought and paid for. I'm not walking around with a Oracle Park crab sandwich in my back pocket. You know what I mean? I'm not beholden to the team by any way or in any way imaginable. I don't need to say rah Giants. But if they make a good move, I'm a straight shooter. They make a good move, I'll call it a good move. They make a bad move, I'm going to call it a bad move. Yeah. They make no move, I'm going to call it a bad move. And so far, they've made no moves and bad moves.
I just don't understand, Larry, why I understand you're competing with, 29 other teams for different guys. And in most cases, you're probably only competing with a handful for some of the top guys. So why not just go out and set the market? I mean, you're in California, there's an issue with that. Not so much with the Dodgers though. So it's not just California, but just go overpay. What the market is.
I think that scares the hell out of Farhan. I think he wakes up in the middle of the night in flop sweat and it's all like, oh, I think, what happened? What happened, Farhan? What happened? Oh, you know what? I had this nightmare that I overpaid by $2.5 million for a starting pitcher. Oh, come on downstairs, have a glass of milk. Let's, think, don't worry, it wasn't real. It's like I think that's his real concern. He's not concerned about, wow, I've built a nothing team and I'm in year 5 and I basically we're borderline even irrelevant. And I've needs everywhere I look. That doesn't seem to bother him. What bothers him is, what if I overpaid and then people around the industry felt like I got taken? Oh my God. Then what? It's like, it's that. I really believe that. Jaguayo 56 says, here's $2. Why are the Giants owners so damn hesitant to be daring? Well, I just think they went with a guy who's so measured and concerned.
Oh, he's MIT guy. That's where he's from.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
he's
went
an MIT
with this
guy.
number crunching. Everything's got to make sense. Some purchases are about logic. Some purchases are about emotion, and just because you have a purchase that's based on emotion doesn't mean it's a bad purchase. Was Barry Bonds a bad purchase for the San Francisco Giants?
Not at all.
Larry Baer told me in 2000 in an interview that Barry Bonds, that they lost the ownership group between when they bought the team in 1992 and through the 99 season, that they had lost nearly $100 million in revenue in dollars in that last decade. And that without Barry, they easily would have lost $200 million.
Oh my goodness.
That he offset $100 million.
Yeah, so when they were playing, they were playing a candlestick, and Barry got, Pac Bell or whatever you want to call it, Oracle.
It's the house that Bonds built.
Got it built. I mean, and it's now where are they in terms of all of sports franchises? They've got to be a top 10 of all sports teams as far as net worth, I would imagine.
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure where they reside.
Where do you find that out?
I know that they were 13th in payroll and I think third in revenue. So why are you 13th in payroll and third in revenue? We welcome in a man who joins us from the green room. Locked on Warrior broadcaster Cyrus Sotsis. Locked on. Happy Thanksgiving, Cy. What's going on, man? You're muted. What happened?
Still muted.
You're
Maybe
muted
your
on
mic?
your end. No, still muted. Why is Cy muted? We'll put him back in the thing. Oh, wait. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I get you now.
Okay, good. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
We got you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
You guys.
Yes.
No, I'm good, man.
I
just finished recording an episode with Janelle Moore. You're one of your all-time favorites.
Yes, from North Carolina. A very knowledgeable Warrior fan.
You know what's crazy? She's a lot more polished than she used to be. I brought her on a few times, and she's making some great points. I was stoked on her work tonight. So how are you guys doing, man?
Please share. Tell us the great Janelle Moore breakdown that we missed on Locked On Warriors.
She's really good with analyzing younger players, and I think the consensus is that James Wiseman needs to be traded. I think it's there's not really much debate left, unless you two disagree. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Seems like it's time though for Wiseman.
It's time to trade him. He's been in the G League for like 90 minutes.
Yeah, not good feedback though, man. He's.
What are you hearing? What are you hearing from the G League? Tell me why you're at this. This I would say this is a somewhat extreme take.
Oh, okay.
I mean, as far as you just sent him to the G League, I guarantee you, if we had Kerr and Myers here, they would not be speaking that way about this player. But maybe I'm wrong.
Depends on who you ask.
What are the reports coming out of the G League saying?
Well, here's it. Okay, so I've been perplexed this whole year about. I'll get to the Wiseman thing in just 1 second. It'll lead to this, but I've been perplexed this whole season about the Warriors because it makes no damn sense that they basically let all their veterans go, and only for the team to not play the youngsters that were left. Right? I mean, that's all they really have. Instead, Kerr prefers playing two-way players he added a month ago, and this thing is just really driven me crazy in terms of the why of it. And the why of it's kind of been solved now, which is it's the front office and Lacob versus Kerr. The divide is not like the veterans versus the youngsters, which is what the narrative's been, right? It's like this two timeline thing. No, it's a two-headed like ideology thing where it's like you have the owners and the front office who invested this money in these lottery picks. It's their shiny toys. They purposefully did not bring back the veterans from last year so that we could see these shiny young toys out on the court. But then you have Steve Kerr, who is very anti-youngsters. I mean, we've seen this time and time and again. He has a clear bias towards his veterans. And there is a weird Cold War going on between Kerr and the front office. And it's playing out in front of us where the result is a bench that totally sucks. Your starting five is absolutely amazing. They figured things out at home, which is a relief, but on the road they still suck. And I don't know what the end result is, but I think one compromise to all this is going to be Wiseman saying goodbye. And next Monday's show, I'm going to break down like who could be a good trade partner for him. Here's what I've heard from Santa Cruz is he's not blowing people away. He's doing okay. You see the numbers, like he's putting up I think he's averaging like 17 a game there, 11, 12 rebounds. But similar to what we've seen with Golden State and similar to what we've heard from his high school and college days is he's not very receptive to constructive criticism. Like he's like, if you sit there and try to help him, he will roll his eyes at you and think he knows better. That's the attitude you get from James Wiseman. And that's not going to roll. That's not going to work with this culture. And I don't think it's going to work in professional sports, period. I think you have to be humble and you have to accept that regardless of who you are, you have to listen to other people. And so
he doesn't
literally
take coaching well. You're saying he doesn't take coaching well. Is the coach who coached with Jokic, who was brought in to help Wiseman, is he down in Santa Cruz with him, or is he up with the Warriors?
Oh, that's a great question.
Whatever.
I would have to get back to you. I don't know. I don't think he is. He usually doesn't travel to Santa Cruz with anyone. So that would surprise me. But I think this is just. I think Wiseman could someday develop into something like 5 years from now.
He'll develop, but it's a slow. That's the toughest position to develop. It's the slowest.
Correct.
It's the slowest developing position in basketball. And the Warriors, do they have the time to wait? I'm hearing things or reading things like
you're hearing things.
I know, Larry. Look at this guy with sources. Is
this inside the walls of Del Boca Vista?
Yes, this is from the neighbor across the street.
Get your dog off my dirt.
Yeah,
that lady.
That's right.
Does she have any inside sources?
Yeah, she does.
Danny was harassed by a neighbor.
Were you really?
Yes. There's a lady that's over 55 that's walking around kicking ass and taking names at Del Boca Vista.
That's awful, dude. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, that's seriously. Danny was walking.
I'm hearing Turner from they like Poole from the Spurs or Turner.
Lacob.
Yeah.
Are you hearing they like
you
him?
had Lacob on Locked On?
No, I'm hearing, or I'm not hearing, but I'm reading that these are got players that would fit their system, what they want to do right now.
Look at Dan pretending he knows how to read.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will
reading.
Mark Graves says my sources are Costco.
Dan's sources
I will say this.
Costco.
There's a couple names out there that are kind of intriguing, like PJ Washington with the Hornets.
Charlotte?
Hornets need a big.
Would you take Bridges, who's obviously had a lot of problems off the court?
He's a free agent. You could just sign him if you wanted to.
Really? I thought he was property of Charlotte. No,
he was going to be. He was going to sign his first big deal, and then he got arrested. I believe for felony assault on his girlfriend or wife or something. And
didn't it get dropped or something? I heard the Lakers and Pistons were kicking tires on him. I'll tell you this. Bridges can flat out play.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, I know
Michigan
he's
State guy too,
but he can play.
Isn't he a Michigan State guy, Draymond?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah. Look at Danny.
Yeah. So, no, and then John Collins of the Hawks is available for trade, which also, the Clint Capella is another player who they could trade for. I don't know. There's a few names out there. I'm going to do research. I'm actually going to this weekend look at everything, man. I want to see who's available, how the dollars match up. Monday's show will be a James Wiseman trade show. We're just going to see where the Warriors can ship him to. Yeah, I think that experiment is done. I really do, man. It's
wow, that is super fast.
You have some sources on this, or is this what you're just and you don't have to tell the sources because
there's no source that says that they're going to do this, but I'm reading the writing on the wall that and my sources are telling me the truth about how he's being receptive to coaching. And it's not just coaches. It's like Wiseman will have peers come to him and say, like, for example, one of his teammates in Santa Cruz, I won't say who, apparently came up to him and said, hey, if you do this, was trying to coach him on his leaping ability, on his vertical. And Wiseman just did not want to hear it. Just was like, just get away from me. Just completely brush it off. And that's not going to work, man. It's not going to work. And yeah, so. By the way, are we talking Kings here? Or, I mean, Giants baseball? Is Aaron Judge?
We were talking a little bit about about Aaron Judge because that all the talk about Judge, and he visited this week, a couple days, and are the Giants going to sign him? And are they? I mean, it's a very weird situation.
I looked it up on Forbes, by the way, too. As far as a franchise goes, they're 42nd in revenue or net worth. At 4-point-something billion, I think it was,
and they paid $400 million for the franchise.
Yeah, 42nd. Only 4 other teams are ahead of him in baseball: the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs, and can't remember the other one. So they're 5th team in baseball.
They're cheap.
So, I mean, this is with all the
They're
soccer
cheap.
teams and baseball, basketball, football. So you're talking out of all the sports teams, they're richer than 25 other franchises in baseball.
Who could the Warriors get for him? I mean, at this point, isn't he super damaged goods if you trade him right now? I mean,
James Wiseman?
Yeah.
His value is not great. But again, so that's why I think the Pacers what coach
But Miles Turner's a free agent. You going to trade him for a pending free agent?
It depends on if the championship's worth that much, Here's the thing. The Warriors were victims of timing with Wiseman because that draft sucked. It was just they had horrible luck when it comes to, of all the years to get the number 2 pick. It reminds me of like the Joe Smith year when the Warriors had the number 1 pick and they drafted Joe Smith. That draft sucked too. They just
passed on KG.
KG was drafted 5th and he was out of high school.
Right,
so
I mean, I don't. All those guys are young. I mean, somebody should have been able to look at KG and say, look at this guy. Look at his liquid moves. Look at the way he moves around at 7 feet. Look at his handle. He's 18. He played at Farragut. This guy's going to be incredible in 3 years. The fact that they went low upside on Joe Smith just shows that they blew it. I mean, and the Warriors blew it many years. They took Todd Fuller over Kobe. They took T-Mac, or they took Donald Foyle over T-Mac. They've blown it many drafts, but this one would be really painful to lose Wiseman for nothing, because what the trades, like there are sample trades out there that you can find online, and they all suck. I mean, unless you like Jakob Poole, or unless you really want to. I mean, some of these deals are just so sell low. Somebody had a deal for James Wiseman for Gary Payton the second. I mean, I love Gary Payton. I'd like to have him back, but I don't want to trade James Wiseman to get him. I mean, that would be the dumbest trade in the history of the world. I mean,
I would do it. You wouldn't do that?
I mean, I like Gary Payton, but it doesn't mean I want to trade James Wiseman, who I just invested the second pick in the draft for Gary Payton. And so I don't know. I mean,
he's the bust label is coming awfully close to fruition, man. It's a bad scene. It's a bad look.
What's his real problem? Is it hands, lack of toughness, lack of awareness, lack of I mean, does he not work as hard as we think? Is he soft?
I haven't heard.
What's the deal?
I haven't heard that his work ethic's an issue. I think his problem is just that everything is too fast for him. Like, he can't get in the right place at the right time. The speed of the game is too much. Like, his hand thing has to do with reflexes. So, he fumbles the ball a lot because oftentimes passes are thrown to him so quick that either he's kind of turning his head, similar to a wide receiver in football, looking ahead when a pass is thrown before he should, and drops the ball. For him, it's just too much. He just has not been able to slow the game down. And, I mean, some players you just can't really nail down a specific reason why they don't end up playing well. They just, some guys just suck, and it's heading that direction, man. It's not a good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had LaMelo Ball. They could have had Halliburton.
Well, you know what the thing that pisses me off, Larry, is that the Warriors could have had Anthony Edwards. The Timberwolves wanted to swap the 1 and 2 with him. Their initial, and this is reported. This is not speculation. This is real. But the Warriors were set on Wiseman, and the Timberwolves had originally asked to swap the picks and get Kuminga back, but that was negotiable. That was negotiable. The Warriors could have had Anthony Edwards right now, but what are you going to do? Yeah.
I mean, that's bad. Eddie K24 said, Larry's right. If that trade happened, we got to get a pick. Bomber
Which
T,
trade?
Well, I think probably for Jakob or for really any of the guys we've mentioned so far. I mean, if you trade Gary Payton, if it's about Gary Payton, you got to get Payton in a pick. It can't just be Payton. Bomber T says, kid ain't got the dog in him, Larry. Okay. Niners Warriors says, Warriors assistant tonight just said he has great hands, that we are throwing horrible passes to him.
Which assistant? Is that Jama Malalela?
We have another one in here quoting. Yeah, this is, let's see.
I heard Kerr say that he thought he was doing well down there. I don't know. I read
they're going to say that. They also
say.
Yeah.
you can't trust what they say just because they
Right.
also said D'Angelo Russell was a long-term fixture and they saw him being a part of the team. And
Yeah.
I said your fantasy trades were fair. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of bullshit that goes on.
yeah,
these
there
live
is. There's a
streams.
lot of bullshit.
Uh,
There's a lot
no,
of
but I mean,
bullshit.
you're not going to devalue your own guy. Just to to be honest,
Right, yeah,
I
you
need to be
ruined his trade
honest.
value.
It's like GTC Real says here's $4.99. He's not physical. He's a finesse big. No toughness on the boards. When he did, Steph's says GTS losing to Sack. He lost me. You have to get what you can for him. That's
I will say
too. It's like if you really think he's a bust, then you got to trade him soon. If you really think that he's got upside, then be patient and let him show some of that upside. Let him flash a big game. I was hoping he could flash, an 18 and 12, a couple games like that in the G League, and that somebody would see him and say, "Oh man, got to have that guy." He's still 7-1 and 22, right?
21. Yeah, he's very young. I mean, there is a school of thought too that like Kerr is totally fucking this up. I mean, this could entirely be on Kerr because look at Wiseman's rookie year. He averaged 21 minutes a game, 11 and a half points, 6 rebounds, 52% field goal percentage. Those aren't bad numbers, right? I mean, those are actually really solid numbers for a rookie big. But then, he got injured his second year, and then year 3, it's like Kerr has not proven himself in terms of developing young players. He's never once shown he could do it. He's inherited greatness, and right now I think he might be exposing his weakness as a coach, which is developing young players because look, these are 3 lottery picks who have never.
Do you have stock in a donut shop in Walnut Creek?
No, why?
My buddy CK owns a donut shop.
Fire Kerr. I'm not. But Kerr's not infallible. Like he's not.
They gotta fire Kerr's ass, bro.
He's not Kerr. I just don't know if Kerr's like this. Infallible. Like in Kerr we trust. I don't go down that route, man. I think he makes mistakes a lot. He's had so much damn talent that it compensates for whatever mistakes and weaknesses he has. I've heard people
say that it was Joe Lacob in the front office's call to draft Wiseman. Do you think that's true?
I think it was a collective. It was
I think
it was collaborative as far as I know.
Okay.
But
let's be honest here, though. The Warriors, when they brought in Kenny Atkinson, when they brought in Jokic's coach, they said, "Hey, we got a really young team. It's going to be as important for us to develop our players at 5:00 than it's going to be for us to put our players on the court at 7:30." And I agreed with that. But here we are a couple of years later, and who's developing? Kuminga looks just lost. Moody never. I'm so tired of Moody getting complimented. It's like, it's like somebody complimenting you and just never giving you any run. Oh, you're really, really good. You can't play, but you're really,
he doesn't.
Really
he
good.
never even plays.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
Moody's really good, but can't play. Kuminga has horrible body language. Like he's 15 years old. He's so immature. And Wiseman just looks soft to me. He doesn't have any rebounds. He doesn't look like a guy who wants to challenge every shot in the lane. All I really wanted from James was run the floor, challenge every shot, rebound the hell out of the ball, and challenge every shot in the lane. He's totally incapable of doing it.
Keep things simple. And here's another thing too, which is that the Warriors, these 3 lottery picks, they're youngsters, their entire lives, they've been stars, right? Like whether it's their prep programs, whether Kuminga in the G League or Moody in college. Moody played for like the top prep school in Florida. Like it was like the same program like Cade Cunningham and these other players were at. You look at James Wiseman, who was, just revered at his Memphis high school, only played 3 games in college, but was a god on that campus. You can't take 3 individuals like that who have been in the absolute spotlight wherever they played, and then bring them to the NBA and say, sit on that bench way over there, and if you're lucky, I'll play you 5 minutes tonight, and if you make one mistake, I'm going to pull your ass out of this game. That is not going to work, and that is my biggest problem with Kerr. He's treating these 3 lottery picks like there's absolute scrubs who should be like taken their NBA experience, not for granted and to be humble. And dude, read the room, Kerr. Like these three kids cannot be treated like this. That's not going to result in success. And that is my problem. You got to play these guys. You got to play them. It is absolutely absurd that Anthony Lamb, who had a great night tonight, but he's inconsistent. Like the previous 2 games, he had a combined 2 points. Okay, he's a defensive liability. What other teams are doing routinely on Lamb now, the Clippers just sucked tonight, so they didn't have a chance to do this, but he's 6'5", and his wingspan is average. So opposing players are just posting him up and shooting over him with ease. So Lamb is a major liability out there defensively. He's okay offensively. He had a great play with Stephen Curry, but you got to play the youngsters. You have to play them. And right now there's a cold war between Kerr and Lacob, where Lacob wants his shiny toys played. There's a reason why he gave them all extensions. There's a reason why he let all these veterans go, was because in Lacob's mind, these 3 are ready to play. And in Kerr's mind, he's like, no, they're not. I don't like these kids. I don't want these kids. I want veterans. And this is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing an inconsistent product that plays great at home, that can't do shit on the road. And you have 3 kids.
What's the priority? Is the priority to have the place packed for the next 5 to 7 years and never take a step back, or is the priority to get Steph 1 more ring, 2 more rings? Because if it's about the rings, then I agree it might be time to make some trades. If it's about packing the house for the next decade, then maybe they want to stay with the young guys and kind of lengthen their window, and maybe basically it becomes Joe Lacob's money versus Steph Curry's titles. Does Joe want to pack the house? I understand that the arena is enormously expensive, so I don't fault Joe for wanting to have a young core so that he doesn't drive his roster right off the cliff. Because who's going to pay $50 for 3 beers in 3 years when Steph and Draymond and Klay Thompson are old? But this idea that when people talked about their young core, like those guys are going to win titles too. Like it's a guarantee. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that any of those guys are going to be shit. So I don't, this idea that, well, they'll win, the second group when they start to win. What do you mean? What are you even talking about when they start to win titles? They're not even good enough to get on the floor on any meaningful run. And the one thing I also don't get is I don't get why the Warriors are so concerned with their record when I think they could win the title out of any spot in the West. I think they could win as the 7th seed, the 8th seed. To me, it's much more important that they get Kuminga and Moody and Wiseman rolling and up to speed than have X number of wins. I'd rather have 10 less wins and enter the playoffs with those 3 young guys playing a role and leading to victories and comfortable than have 10 more wins and have those guys DNP coach's decision and you're just a super thin team. So I'm not really getting why they're prioritizing the wins in the regular season NBA wins in November over developing 3 hugely important core youngsters. Why? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, again, like Lacob has said specifically that he wants to follow. He doesn't want the Warriors to turn into the Lakers, which was eventually their players got old. They kept giving Kobe these big deals, and they surrounded him with nothing. All the players aged themselves out of the league. He does not want that. He's expressed that he wants a continued run of success, not necessarily being champions year after year, although he's also said that world championships are the most important thing. But he has said specifically that he wants a long run of success. That's his first and foremost thing, and that's why he loves the youngsters so much. I think Kerr is more all about winning a title this year. But again, I'm with you, Larry. You have to play these youngsters. Kerr is driving me mad. And
Kuminga is starting to get some rotation.
He was pretty good tonight. Kuminga was not bad tonight.
No, Kuminga was good tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But Moody needs to play. And to the bigger point, if the world championship is the goal, Kuminga and Moody have to be more polished. They have to be. Like you can't have the Warriors. I'll say this. Look, this is as frank as you could be right now. The Warriors would not win a world championship if the season ended today. They would not. Plain and simple.
Well, yeah, but who would? The Celtics,
Well,
right? But I mean,
Boston or Milwaukee.
but I mean, look at Boston last year. They were like 500 at halfway through the season or something.
But they also had Dennis Schroeder, and they didn't have Al Horford.
I think the Warriors right now, I personally believe they're trying to win, and you got to win to stay relevant so that when you do, but you're going to see Kuminga get some minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. He got what, 14 tonight? Kuminga.
Moody only got 5.
Yeah, Moody got 5. So
that needs to change.
And I think it will at certain games. I think you'll see that. I think you'll see Moody some games play 20 plus minutes. I
don't get why he's not now, man. In the preseason, when Clay was not playing and Jordan Poole was starting, Moses Moody was the 6th man off the bench. Right. I don't understand what happened opening night against the Lakers when they trounced them easily. Not saying much, but again, Moody was the 7th. The 7th man off the bench because Clay played. I don't know what Moody's done to play himself out of the rotation, and for Kerr to be playing Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb over him. I don't get that at all. But this is
I actually get why they play Lamb, because he knows where to be in the offense.
So you're saying Kuminga doesn't? You're saying Moody doesn't?
I'm saying that. I'm saying that.
I don't see that. I think they're
fine. Lamb's game right now is, even though it's not as spectacular as Kuminga's, it's more developed. It's more. He's had 4 years of coaching at the University of Mont. 4 years.
I get that.
I see Lamb as a guy that is kind of like your JTA.
I get that.
He's kind of like
I follow that, but again, if that strategy works if you're trying to win one game at a time, that's not a strategy I think is astute here. Is not smart, plain and simple. They're trying to win a world championship. You got to play long game, not to mention like
But they're going to get more minutes. Don't you think? There's 63 games left. There's plenty of time to develop.
It's not about time. It's just that what's it going to take to get minutes?
Yes.
Like I say, I think they'll get Kuminga's in the rotation. It looks like now as this on the second.
What do you think of the Niners Warriors? He says Moody's slow. His feet are heavy. He hasn't come to the realization that he needs to be a 3-and-D guy.
I see some of that, because he does try and drive and then pass the ball a little too much instead of just stay out there in the wings and take his shot and then just play tenacious defense.
But again, if he doesn't keep getting the reps, he's never going to fix that, right? I mean, wouldn't you guys agree that learn as you do is the best pedagogy for teaching? Like you getting experience is the best way to learn. And like if you're going to like reward poor play with bench minutes, meaning no minutes, how is he ever going to get better? This is a lottery pick that you're just wasting away on a bench.
Well, I will say this, as having a brother who's a coach for many years, players are being evaluated every day in practice. And so we don't know what's going on in practice. I mean, there's possibility that maybe they're just not getting some of the concepts. I mean, if you've noticed, throw out the Pelicans game. Just forget that game. That was a joke. But if you notice tonight and last week, who did they play? The Knicks, I think.
Spurs.
But the Knicks, they came out. After the Phoenix game where they were just throwing the ball up, playing the Drew League basketball, as Kerr said. They're just running down. It's now back to constant motion and passing and cutting to the hoop, and
it's always been that. Their offense has been a problem.
It was.
They're number one in the NBA in assists for the whole year.
But earlier in the year, they were the games they were losing that they should have won. they were just throwing the ball up. I mean, it was like awful basketball to watch.
Sometimes, but their defense was the problem because defense leads to offense.
Right.
And
but I think
again,
right now they're
but Dan, if let's say like the issue is practice, and by the way, the players have contradicted that time and time and again. The players have come to their defense, to Kuminga and Moody's defense, saying they're doing fine in practice. They're working hard. And again, why were they starting playoff games last year? Like does something happen? And I that's the part that loses me. Like I would believe all of this if they were getting limited minutes and being treated the same last year.
Yeah, but
last year,
who are you
Kerr
going
was
to
playing
sit?
them.
You're not going to sit DiVincenzo, and you're not going to sit Jermichael Green at this point because he's your backup
but he did
center.
though. He
Earlier
did
when Wiseman was there, but now he's your backup center, and he's actually playing better now. He's actually getting into the flow of the offense.
Agreed.
So those guys are vets, which we're asking for vets. So now you got and Poole's on the bench. So now you're at 8 deep, right?
Yeah.
With
You got to be 10 at least, though.
So you got to be 10. Yeah, you got to be 10.
And that's where Moody and Kuminga come into play. And that's where I don't understand,
And who is getting? Let me look. Who's getting
Lamb?
9? Oh, Lamb. Yeah, Lamb is getting. But I think
here's the other problem, Dan. It's not
Kerr
just
loves
Lamb. The veterans are getting sometimes 5 to 10 minutes a night more than they should, because that's another variable we're not considering here. Is that they're veterans
they're extending their vets.
You're burning gas this early in the season that should not be burned. I just don't get it.
I do think you're going to see. I think you're going to see more of Kuminga and a little bit more of Moody. Tonight was a big move in the sense that they flipped Draymond onto the second unit to start the second quarter.
Yeah, they started that last game.
Yeah, with Wiggins. So that's going to solidify that. I mean, that second team earlier in the year just looked like awful. I mean, it was like G League.
What do you think of Poole, by the way? Poole had an awful night tonight.
Shooting, Kerr was praising him despite that, which is really weird. Where'd Larry go? Did he bounce on us? Well, I was gonna say if I have the box sheet. Poole scoring wise had a bad night. 0
for 8 from 3.
He was only 3 for
but he had 5. He did have 5 assists though.
Yeah, and I guess he was a good. Kerr was praising him. Kerr said Poole was facilitating the offense effectively. He was a plus 19 in the plus minus, which again, sometimes you take that with a grain of salt, but his shooting sucks. You're right, that 0 for 8 from beyond the arc. Poole's not earning his money. Where'd you go? Welcome back, man.
I hit the wrong button by accident.
Okay. But Poole's shooting has not been good this year.
I like Poole going to the bucket. I loved him in that San Antonio game. He's faster than anybody going to the bucket. But if he's not going to the bucket, not a big fan. I mean, not.
Yeah,
and then also, there's still bad vibes between him and Draymond. Even tonight, when they were on the floor together, Draymond's like kind of making these passes and kind of directing traffic and telling him where to go. And it's like, you can kind of tell. It's like this team has weird vibes because it's like, most teams are like, hey, everybody, we're all together. This team's not all together. This is like the young guys and the old guys, the old guys and the young guys. And it's like nobody can talk about this team for more than 10 minutes without somehow referencing these multiple teams that exist on this one team. It's just, it's a weird vibe. And I don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy.
So which maybe this will spice up the show a little bit, because I've now proposed this on Locked On Warriors. I've thrown it out there.
This is secondhand Locked On rumors.
This is an extension because Locked On is done for the week. So this is actually the
There's
extension.
no Locked On Thanksgiving.
No Thanksgiving Locked On. I'm going to my dad's in Reno.
No Locked On.
I think
if Wiseman gets traded on Thanksgiving,
guys, no, this is even bigger. I think
bigger than a Wiseman trade on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, I think
I'm gonna get a little closer.
And Brian Rosh says it correctly. The Warriors' problem is defense, which makes this trade proposal even weirder. I think it's time for Draymond to move. I think the Draymond Green era, unless Stephen Curry is like fighting for it, I think the Draymond Green era is done. I think it's time to move on.
It's time to move Draymond?
I think it's time to move Draymond.
What do you want in return? What do you want in return?
I've got a deal. Draymond.
Oh, look at Danny. Danny's always got a deal. You want Trout?
No, Draymond, Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody plus 2 number ones
Jesus,
for
what?
KD and Seth Curry.
You're giving
Well,
up too much.
No,
yeah,
I'm not.
you're
That's too
Danny
much.
and Rye have been pushing this KD trade.
It's not
I
a
don't
horrible idea, but that's
I don't
too
think
much.
I don't think KD works here. I don't think it works.
Him and Steph would be like finish out their 4. They have 4 years left on their contracts.
They would win a title tonight.
They would win a
this year.
title this year.
Yes,
They would win a title this year.
And I think they'd three-peat.
But-
I think they'd three-peat.
But
And then it
you
would
know,
start to go.
I don't know. I have a hard time rooting for KD. He's just too weird for me.
Yeah.
Too weird. Too many battles with 12-year-olds. Too much unhappiness. Too much. He's always pissed. He's always agitated. He's always got something going on. He's an awesome talent. No, been there, done that. No thanks. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go KD.
So how about this?
Go in a different direction than KD.
So a simpler trade, and there's a few variations of this, but you're trading because you don't want to trade Draymond to a rival, right? You don't want to face him in the playoffs, right? That's like the last thing you want. So I think you trade him to an Eastern Conference team, which is why the KD thing is not the worst thing in the world, but you're giving up too much with your idea. Like it's got to be Wiseman and Kuminga or Moody. I think that's where you got to limit it. But the Detroit Pistons have Sadiq Bey, who's available.
Yes.
And you can also, with Draymond's salary, you can also
You could
get
get Burks
back.
You could get Burks back if you wanted, right? Burks.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And who's the other guy? The guy who was in Dallas, who's a shot blocker.
Woods?
Isaiah Stewart?
Oh, Nerlens
Noel.
Yeah,
Nerlens Noel, Sadiq Bey, and Alec Burks works on the trade machine. If you did,
where's
Draymond,
Noel at now? Is he with Detroit?
I think he's with Detroit, isn't he? Or no?
I don't know. I don't know where Noel.
Here,
I'll look it up.
Let me check my Pistons.
That could be a Christmas Day trade, maybe, huh?
Nerlens Noel is currently for the Pistons.
Noel.
Yeah, he plays for the Pistons. Correct.
Yeah.
You mentioned the John Collins. He had a nightmare night tonight.
Did he?
I don't know if
so maybe not. He's an athletic freak. I know that.
He is. And he can catch the lob, but he's, does he rebound? Does he defend? Does he do the little things?
Great question.
They have Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel on their bench. If you could get those two guys and Sadiq Bey, I'd do it. I would do it.
Yeah. There's also if you want a big, Isaiah Stewart is I like him as a player. If you're looking to add, maybe want to add a swap with Wiseman in there. But again, I really, for salary purposes, I wouldn't mind Bogdanovich. Are you guys against him? Like, is he? Because I don't
love Bogdanovich that much. You talking about Bojan?
Bojan or Bogdan?
Yeah. Like offensively, like he would. I mean, the spacing he would add to that floor would just be psychotic. If you had Bogdanovich and Curry and Thompson and Wiggins, like just those four in the court together, and you throw big, how do you defend that? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking.
I'll tell you the team that is intriguing to me. I mean, if you're really gonna move some pieces around.
Yeah.
I kind of like Utah. I like Lauri Markkanen, and I like Jared Vanderbilt.
Ooh.
And I kind of like Colin Sexton. I like those three guys quite a bit for Utah. And I think Utah is going to be all about, Wembanyama, at the end of the year.
Markkanen they better get going. They're leading the conference.
Yeah.
It's like,
but Vanderbilt's got long arms. He can play defense.
The Timberwolves guys are so dumb. We're so dumb for making that trade. It's just like they got fleeced, man.
Yeah. Sacramento's interesting too because maybe Mike Brown would want Draymond. I think Draymond in some ways would be perfect in Sacramento. He needs to go somewhere where he can kind of set the tone and show a young team that doesn't know how to win. Who
do you get back for him?
I would take Harrison Barnes and Davion Mitchell. I would also take Rashawn Holmes, who's not playing Mitchell, at all for them. I like Malik Monk. So I like those guys.
Let me ask you this: what do you think bothers Joe Lacob more? The team right now being what are they, 10-11 or 9-10? 9-10. I'm sorry. What do you think bothers him more? The Warriors being 9-10 right now, or the Sacramento Kings being more relevant and having the beam?
Well, I mean,
The
I
beam
think
is
Joe's
just-
probably pissed that, he's trying to let his kids be a part of the front office and they've made some terrible decisions, you know? So it's not, it's like he's got a GM, but he's also got his kids involved. And,
nepotism, man.
nepotism is a scary thing. So,
Mhm.
I'm not really sure if I'm Joe, what direction you go, because how do you get equal value back or even close to equal value back for some of these guys, that are their values at an all-time low?
Bring up like Niners Warriors is freaking out. Should we address it because he look at he's panicking. We should
Where is
shouldn't
he?
we address him? His recent he says, "Are you guys listening to what you're saying? We're struggling
Hold
right
on,
now."
hold
on
on one second. I got to
defense."
get a tissue. Hold on.
Okay.
Gotta get to the
So Niners Warriors writes, "Are you guys listening to what you're saying? We're struggling right now on defense the most. You're giving up a defensive player of the year type player." Here's what I'll respond, man. And Dan, maybe you'll disagree with me. I don't know. Maybe we're on the same page. Draymond Green has to be the defensive player of the year, Draymond Green, in order for the Warriors to be world champions. And he's no longer that player. He's still good. He's no longer great. Like he's not even in the discussion right now for second team all defense. He's being beat. His vertical has virtually evaporated. So he's getting beaten out on rebounds. He's gotten either lazy or apathetic, or he's lost some athleticism to the point where he dares opposing shooters to shoot threes, meaning like he doesn't go all out and raise his hand to try to block the shot. He just runs up to him and just looks at him. Doesn't even face guard him.
I think with the thing with Draymond though, my take is it's November and he's pacing himself for April through June. I just don't see, because what I saw last year with Draymond in the playoffs, the intensity, the defense, especially games 5 and 6, that's in him still. It's just not in him every night, not in an 82 game. He'll be that.
Would the Warriors lose Steph if Draymond got traded?
Well, before the Poole fight, yes. I mean, but the Poole fight is another reason why I'm kind of like, I think Draymond just really permanently messed things up. Like
that was kind of my take. In the beginning, I kind of said I thought this was going to be a big
I had to see it.
issue.
I had to see it play out, and I've seen enough. I mean, we're 19 games in. I think what he did is permanent. I don't think he has the same standing he used to. He can no longer be that vocal leader. Like they had that team meeting the other day, and look, they're undefeated for the most part, except for the Pelicans game since then. But I mean, are people really listening to him the way they used to? Can he still command a room the way he used to? I mean, I don't know. And he's regressed. He's 32 years old, turning 33 this year. That back thing is not going to just go away. In the NBA Finals, he had 3 bad games. Those are the first time in his career he had bad playoff games. I guess I'm just of the belief that you trade a player while their value is still high before it's too late. And right now,
I can see that.
And right now, you can still get something back. You can still win titles. Like I didn't think that was a possibility. I don't know.
Portland. Portland would love to have him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Portland would be the team I would be looking at.
Like you trade him to a rival, Larry? Like you trade him to a team that the Warriors would have to see 4 or 5 times, and maybe in the playoffs.
I mean, if he's so good, if you're so worried about what he's going to do when you trade him, then you shouldn't be trading him.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Shaden Sharp, really talented young player.
Love him.
I love John Butler, who's a really young player, but Simons is coming of age. Josh Hart's a really valuable role player. Heck, Jeremy Grant is a terrific player. I mean, they've got some guys there for sure that I would have interest in. I don't know. I think Sacramento is actually the best fit because I think Mike Brown. Not everybody's going to want Draymond Green. But I think the Kings need Draymond Green. The Kings need Draymond Green in the worst way, and I think the Warriors, to me, if you could get, Davion Mitchell, Harrison
Oh,
Barnes, and a pick. Yeah, I'd do it.
I would do that. Davion
I would
Mitchell
do
is special, but even the Pistons,
And he's a really great
it,
defender. I mean, did you see
yeah,
Davion Mitchell D'ing
phenomenal,
up Steph in the Sacramento
phenomenal.
two-step
Well,
they already played? I mean, he smothers. He's a smothering defender.
he's got a cool nickname from college. I'm looking it up right now because he was so good at Butler that he transferred over. Off night. His nickname is Off Night because routinely
Right, because you have an off night when you're going against him.
exactly.
I'll tell you the other
dude.
guy that I really like is I like Metu, who was on the team that Mike Brown coached this summer, and Metu's been playing a nice role for them, and basically Rashawn Holmes is like DNP coach's decision most nights, and Metu's kind of taken his spot in the rotation. But I just think when I'm looking at Sacramento, they have missed the playoffs for 16 straight years.
Crazy.
They need to establish themselves as a contender. Where Golden State, I think, just needs to mix it up and kind of turn their roster over a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, I love Draymond Green. I don't know that they win any titles without him, but man,
they won't. They wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
But I don't think they would have won any without him. Period. Coming into this thing this year.
Agreed.
So I get no problem if they decided to move him. I guess of all these, I'm not really like Kuminga is an awesome athlete, but it's like other than winning a dunk contest here or there, I don't see what he's really going to do. I mean, he doesn't have any real outside shot. I don't think he's a really cerebral basketball player. I just think that right now you're seeing the best of what he's got because he's a incredible athlete, and right now he's young and he can run and jump and defend.
He has moments. Like even last night,
but I mean he's like a highlight reel.
For the most part,
you can't really depend on him.
He just turned 20. Like he's so young, Larry. Like Kuminga's one of these guys that he's so young. Even on a bad night shooting wise, last game he went 4 for 12 from 3. That's still good enough. Like that's a 33% clip. That's what you want, right? Is that 33? So. I'm not worried about Kuminga. I think Kuminga is going to be a superstar. I have such high hopes for him.
Who does he remind you of?
Sort of Kawhi Leonard-ish, only not with the big ass hands. Like someone who, because Kawhi before he got injured,
Kawhi plays with pace. This guy's kind of,
but he will. He will. He's so young, dude. I mean, we have no memory of
Kawhi Leonard. He's young. I mean, does he have a little bit of Dominique Wilkins in him? He
reminds me a little bit of the Matrix, actually. It reminds me a little bit of Sean Marion.
I've heard that comparison. Yeah, I've heard that.
6'8", long arms. On paper looks like he could be just a real shutdown defender.
Yeah.
I guess of between Wiseman and Moody and Kuminga would be the guy I would be most afraid to trade.
Agreed.
Because I think he's almost a for sure lock to be a solid NBA role player for somebody. But it may be time to, stop, instead of listening to everything Steph and Clay and Draymond want, you maybe take the lead in the organization and start doing what's best for you and what you think is best for you, not what they think is best for you. I mean, if you'd listened to them, you would have had Avery Bradley instead of GP2 and you wouldn't have won last year's title.
And they've admitted that.
So, maybe
here's what I'm saying.
I love you, Steph. I love you, Clay. But you know what? Give me your opinion, but then get out of my way. You're, what I mean? You're not the GM. I mean, look, has LeBron been a good GM?
No. Hell no.
So, I mean,
no.
I don't, the idea of allowing the players to be GM just because you like them and you want to be popular with them, to me, run the show, Myers. Right? You're seriously don't worry about everybody liking you. Run the show.
Well, here's the thing. One,
it's very likable,
but this is all conjecture, right? Like we're literally spitballing right now, just to make things clear. Do not aggregate us, please. Two, dude, in Bob Myers we trust. That's like, to me, this season has kind of revealed it is not in Lacob we trust, right? It's either in Bob Myers we trust or in Steve.
But he's
Kerr
not infallible. They drafted Jacob Evans. They drafted Patrick McCaw. They messed around with some donkeys that didn't work.
But I'd rather go with Kerr. I'd rather go with Myers.
Drafting at the end of the first round when a lot of those guys are just roll the dice, You're
Sure.
drafting 28.
I'm just saying they're not.
30.
It's not like everything. Bob Myers is a nice guy. He's not Jerry West. You know what I mean? Let's not pretend he's Jerry West.
So you don't agree with what Barkley said last night, where he said Myers is the best GM in basketball now? That he's passed R.C. Buford and Presti?
I mean, I love the trade on, when they got rid of KD and wound up with Russell, and then they wound up turning Russell into
Wiggins and Kuminga.
Wiggins and Kuminga. I mean, that was a great pivot for sure.
Yeah.
At the last minute.
But I don't think he's infallible. I mean, it's not like well,
who is,
Bob Myers. If Bob Myers likes a guy and I didn't like him, suddenly I'd be like, oh, Bob Myers likes him. Oh yeah, I bet you he's fucking great. No, I mean he I think Bob's pretty sharp, but he's not infallible by any stretch. I don't,
I hear you. I mean, who is, right?
Yeah, I think Joe really wanted Duarte on that Moody pick.
You said that. And there's a clip,
because remember
right?
Remember the war room when when Duarte came off the board?
One
Joe
pick,
was like,
one pick before, right?
Yeah, and Joe was pissed.
Hey, can you block?
I can see something done with Indiana.
What are we
going to block Dwight at 56?
Well, no,
that's such an insult. I mean, no, the other team. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious, but no, the other teams are not better. The Warriors are still the class. They just got to make a little tweak. They're the defending world champions. They got the best player on the planet. They got the two best shooters on the planet. They're still the cream of the crop. I'm not.
Are they better than Boston? They're better than Milwaukee. They're better than the Cavs. They're better than Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix beat them. Phoenix didn't even have Paul or Cameron.
But they will be. They'll figure it out by April. That much I think. I have a lot of faith that. Are you battling COVID?
You need some Zycam, Larry.
No, I just got a little cold that just came on like in the last hour.
You got to get some Zycam. You got any of that stuff?
No, I'm not a big Zycam. I have some Zycam, yeah, but I'm not a big fan.
Knock your cold out quick, man.
I don't know. I personally, I mean, I don't love the idea of trading Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody, while their value's so low. At the same time, I don't like the idea of trading Draymond either, because I think he's been a absolute key cog in winning. So they're in a weird spot. And then what's Steph's reaction if you trade Draymond? I mean,
here's
no trade is going to be a good trade if Steph's like super irate at the end of it.
You're right. So here's a more pragmatic approach. Andre Iguodala hasn't done shit. I mean, he has been the most worthless human being in that organization so far. And it's like, what's the plan there? Like if you look back at the minutes of this roster a year ago at this time when they started the season 18-2, Iguodala was getting heavy minutes. Like him, Gary Payne II, Otto Porter Jr., Bielitsa. They were all getting like in that 15 to 20 minute range. They were the bench. And what's his deal? Like, is he ever going to play? Like, is he just officially your Udonis Haslem? So what's the deal there? Because you could use that roster spot. And on that note, they already have an open roster spot. Why are they not like Dwight Howard is out there? I don't think Dwight Howard would be a bad thing for this team, And there are a few others. Like, I don't know.
I mean, exactly. I mean, like, where's the consistency? If it's all about now, then why don't you have Dwight Howard?
Agreed. I don't.
Or if it's not about now, then you don't need Dwight Howard. But then why aren't you giving minutes to these young players that desperately need minutes?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've heard Kerr say, well, we don't just give away minutes. And I get it, but you can have any rule you want to have, but at the end of the year, you're not going anywhere if you can't get anything from 7 players on your roster. If you have 7 players on your roster who aren't doing shit, you're not winning a title. I don't care how good the other 5 or 6 guys are.
Yep.
You're not winning a title with 7 guys giving you 0. So right now, Wiseman's giving him 0. Kuminga's not giving him much. Moody's not giving him much. Baldwin 0. Rollins 0. Jermichael Green doesn't give you much.
Yeah.
They're not getting a lot out of, it's one thing to have 3 guys or 4 guys, 5 guys, 7 guys on your roster that really aren't giving you a whole lot.
Anything. Yeah, you're right. Like negative.
It's making Steph and Clay and Draymond have to shoulder a physical load that they really should not have to shoulder at this point in time. And I don't think they can really for the course of the full year.
So the
What?
comments are funny. No, you're right, dude. This whole thing sucks.
Don't just sign Carmelo Anthony.
We've supported that for over a year, I think, right?
I like that. I like Carmelo Anthony because Carmelo Anthony can score, but now it's like, do they miss? Is the defensive issues that they lost Mike Brown or lost GP2 or both? I mean, who do they miss more between those two guys?
You've said like last time I was on with you, I think you said that what seems obvious is that they lose their defensive coordinator, their defense goes from worst to last, right? So it's not a hard puzzle piece to figure out, but
and they lose a dominant on the ball defender.
Yeah, who? Gary Payne II?
Yeah.
Well, it's totally not just him that they lost. Otto Porter Jr. was actually a good defender. Bielitsa was grossly underrated. Andre Iguodala for the first half of last year was playing, and we all know how good of a defender he is. So it's not. So it could be Mike Brown, but it also could be the roster. It could be both. Look, one thing that I feel certain with is that Kerr is failing. This has been his worst stretch of his career, I think, by far.
He's kind of owned it though, hasn't he?
Starting to, but that's a good first step. Now do something about it. It's one thing if you're saying it, actually take some action, man. He seems really rigid this year. I don't like that, man. He seems really like fixed on like his ways and how, if you ruffle my feathers, you're going to be punished for that. I feel like the moment Quindary Weatherspoon got released simply because he spoke out about wanting to have a guaranteed deal, this all started going downhill because he said that. They waive his ass for that because their egos don't like a player speaking out. That was not speaking out, okay? That was just someone having pride and expressing what their goals are in life. And the Warriors took that as, oh, really? You're not happy with us? And they fucking waived him. Weatherspoon was exactly who they needed because he's a wing defender. I did not get that. You replace him with two look, man, I don't get me started on Lamb and Ty Jerome. And then you give those two all the playing minutes over the youngsters. It all started there. And you could point a finger directly to Steve Kerr's ego. It's no secret that I'm not going to name who, but Kerr was responsible for a media member, like basically no longer having a role just because he didn't like what this person said. So Kerr can be rigid, man. And this year it's not reflecting well on him. It sucks.
He banished a media member?
Not directly, but yeah, pretty much. Well, I'll tell you about it off the air. Yeah.
Wow.
I kind of said too much
there. I like that kind of dirt. GTC Rio's got to maximize the core while the window is still open. You agree?
Yeah, of course.
Is that the priority?
I mean, Stephen Curry is having an MVP year. They have to help him, right? I mean, he's not an MVP leader right now because they're 9-10. That sucks. That sucks for Stephen Curry. That really sucks for his legacy. He's almost more important than the franchise at this point, and they're doing him a disservice. Yeah. Anyways.
It's a tough situation because, you do have these two different timelines. And last year it's like, oh, look, we had the two different timelines and we won a title. But no, because you committed to the last year with all these bench players. Now you've got, these young players that were supposed to step into the roles vacated by those veteran bench players, and they've proven clearly that they're not ready to. So then it's just a matter of, well, what do you want to do? You want to keep banging your head against the door and hope that things work out, or do you want to trade these guys? And then if you do trade them, what can you get coming back? And how does that change your dynamic? And just, who can be dealt and who can't be dealt? I mean, what's your thought on Poole? Is Poole's not dealable, or what's his status? Because it seems like, I don't know. I mean, Draymond's got pelts on the wall. Draymond's got rings and trophies.
I'll tell you something. I'm glad you brought up Poole because this actually raises a bigger point, which is that if Steve Kerr wants Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga to succeed, he's going to have to start treating those two the way he treats Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has had games this year where he is awful. Look at tonight, for example. Like the only positive attribute he had tonight, Dan read off the stat sheet. 0 for 8 from beyond the arc. 3 for 15 from the field. 8 of those were those 3-point shots. So he was 3 for 7 from the field outside of that. Still not a 50%. So he had the 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. But despite that, Kerr still played him 22 minutes because he feels he owes it to him because he's making $123 million, right? He's getting big dollars starting next year where he's going to be getting paid 20-something million a year. You have to give someone like that minutes, right? Give that same priority, have that same mindset for Kuminga and Moody. Feel like you have to play them, and it'll fix so many other problems. But Jordan Poole has not had great results this year, and that's part of the reason why I think the Draymond Green trade might have to be considered, is because I don't know if that's fixable. I don't know if you can fix that, Larry. I mean, let me ask you this. If you were in Poole's situation and one of your coworkers, let's say coach right there, socked you, just knocked you fucking right on the ground.
Yeah.
I would do, yeah. Like, even if you apologize, would you really get over that? And just, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I could get over it, but I mean, I don't have a massive ego. I mean, a lot of these NBA players have huge, massive egos, and everybody's kissing their ass so repeatedly that anybody comes along who doesn't, it's like, whoa, what? You're not kissing my ass? So I don't know. I just think pool play is kind of an individual game.
Mm-hmm. You think Romo brings up something? I don't think it would be the case, but a TBI, maybe Poole has a traumatic brain injury from the hit. I don't think he would have been able to go out and probably keep shooting the afternoon. When you get, I've had a few of them, and I mean, a couple of his shots looked like he hit nothing but, he didn't even hit the rim tonight.
He cast 12 as Poole, Wiseman, and picks to Indiana for Halliburton and Turner.
Yes. Okay. Sign me up.
I would love to have Halliburton. Halliburton would be sweet.
Poole, Indiana's not doing that.
I don't think Poole is even tradable at this point, is he, with this new contract? Can you? I don't know what those NBA those rules are. I mean, I don't know. How long you have to wait. Hey, listen to this stat. 3-pointers for the year. Steph Curry leads the league with 88 in 17 games played. Malik Beasley is behind him with 68, 20 games played. 68, and then you got 3-pointers.
Oh, okay. 3 points made. Okay.
Yeah, made. Buddy Hield, 64. Donovan Mitchell, 63. Kevin Herter, 62. Anthony Simon, 62. Jordan Clarkson, 60. Jason Tatum, 60. And at 9th place, Klay Thompson, 55.
All right.
And then Wiggins has got 50, so he's just 3 spots behind. So the Warriors, 3 of the top 12. But I'm going to say this about Klay. I'm going to say he'll end up this year in the top 5 in 3-pointers made. I think he'll move up. He's only now. He's at 55 and 62 is the 5th spot. So he's not far behind, and he's just getting going.
It's an interesting dilemma if you do decide to make a trade involving Green, because it's like, you probably want to trade him to the East. You probably, I mean, what can you get back? You may have to take a player that you have to kind of, invest some time and bring along. I mean, maybe what about Orlando?
Why wouldn't you do the KD deal though with him?
I would. I'm with you, Dan. I don't mind it.
KD wants out of Brooklyn. It's a mess there. The whole thing with Kyrie. I mean, you get KD. You probably get KD really for 3-4 good years where he's kind of like, hey, I'm not going to blow. I blew it already. I'm back. Also Draymond, the one guy that he had an issue with. I know it's probably mended now, but still, it was like it's just play ball. Steph, Klay, and Dre. I mean, Steph, Klay, and KD just playing ball. Those 3 guys.
And the Seth part is huge.
With Seth, yeah, bring
the
Seth
part is huge. Without Seth, I don't sign off on that. You'd have to get Seth in there.
But you imagine you bring in
Seth.
What do you think of Ben Simmons?
You can't have him and Wiggins on the roster together, so it's kind of a. moot
Ben
point.
Simmons
They
could
both.
almost play 5.
You're right, but you'd have to get rid of Wiggins. It's that weird rule where you can't have 2 rookies who got these extensions with a it's so complicated. I can't even explain it, but you can't get those 2 on the same team if I'm not mistaken. Because I thought about that too. It would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Simmons would be the perfect trade.
it's gonna be an interesting, an interesting time for them for sure, and what they do. I mean, the
Yeah.
Bulls have Vucevic. Maybe you could work some deal with Vucevic.
Defensively, though, he sucks. Like, would you want him?
Yeah.
I've thought about that.
He's a great shooter. He's a great shooter. He would stretch the floor.
Who's the guy? Is it Pat something? Who was in the same draft as Wiseman? That's on the Bulls. The guy who got injured last year. He's actually a solid defender. I've thought about him for
Who are you
for
talking
Wiseman.
about? Patrick Williams?
Yeah, Patrick Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Williams is interesting. He didn't he tear out his ACL or something this year? He's
like last year. Yeah. So I think he's either back or should be back. Like, I wouldn't mind that trade for Wiseman in the sense that if you're the Warriors, I mean, you're admitting you lost because Williams was like the 8th or 9th pick in the same draft, but you're getting a better player, and so I would do it. Yeah, I totally do it. Yeah.
I'll tell you the team that I might consider moving Draymond to is the Knicks. The Knicks, I could see the Knicks wanting him. 2, when the Knicks rolled in the other night, they've got a couple really attractive pieces.
Who?
Well, I'm a big fan of Emmanuel Quickly because Quickly can shoot the hell out of it, and he's like a 90% foul shooter. He's got great quickness. I love the kid, the big man from Texas, who's got the 48-inch vertical, Jericho Sims. And then I would take back Julius Randle.
Mitchell Robinson.
I got Mitchell Robinson, but I think he might be hurt right now.
Okay.
But I mean, if you could get Emmanuel Quickly, Julius Randle, and Jericho Sims, and maybe a pick, I'd be interested in some deal like that. They've got some interesting players.
You're onto something with the Julius Randle thing. I've thought about him with the Warriors, because
he's probably outlived his usefulness in the Apple.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like if you swap him and Draymond, like Kenny Smith on Inside the NBA says this a lot, and I agree with it, is that to be a truly great team, you need to have one crazy person, right? You need to have one person that just kind of has a screw loose and that's Draymond right now, right? Who plays mental warfare with any other team. It's just, you can't rattle the guy because he's just nuts, right? Like the Dennis Rodman types of the world. And I'm not saying that disparagingly. I just, it's almost like a compliment. And I feel like Julius Randle kind of fits that bill if you had swapped Draymond for him. It's why like Isaiah Stewart sounds appealing with Detroit. He's big and he's kind of crazy. Remember what he did when he was chasing LeBron last year? When he's all bloodied. Remember that? Like he's running around the whole arena trying to catch up to LeBron so he can kill him.
What about OKC? I mean, OKC's got Lou Dort. I mean, Lou Dort, I think, would be a nice player coming back. He can play.
Love Lou Dort.
I do. He's a absolute dogged defender. And he's about 6'7", 230. And they got a bunch of picks, and they got Poku, and they got Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, and they got Gilgeous Alexander, and they just got a bunch of guys over there. I kind of that would be intriguing. I mean, if you send anybody to OKC, I mean, that's basically like Siberia.
It really is, dude.
It really is.
Where are you?
What about Pascal Siakam? Could you get him out of Toronto?
Not anymore. God, a year ago you could have. God, man, that's a year ago they could have, and now you can't. He's too good.
How about taking back some bad contract plus Scotty Barnes and throw a bunch of?
He's untouchable. Scotty Barnes would be untouchable. I mean, I guess Siakam. It depends on what you're offering. Like if you offered, dude, you might be onto something. Like if you offer like
Wiseman
Draymond,
and Green.
What's up?
Wiseman and Green.
Yeah, and you might have to include a young, like a Moody or a Kuminga. You might have to just to make it more appealing for the Raptors, but Siakam would be awesome. He would be awesome. Where did Dan go? Did we just lose him? He just called it a night?
He just walked away. Danny snacks in the middle of the show. We've got this one. GTC Reels $1.99. How's Trevion Williams doing in the G League?
Your boy, he's doing great, man.
He is.
He's doing fantastic. They should promote him now.
I know.
Fuck Anthony Lamb.
Here's
No
the other
offense,
thing about
Anthony
that
Lamb.
one. I didn't get. They were in such a absolute mad dash to get him off the roster. He
And he was like first cut.
rebounds. He's
First
got
cut.
a good basketball IQ, and he can pass. He can make perimeter passes.
Yeah.
Way better than Wiseman. I mean, if you're really going to be a perimeter offense, why would you not want Travion, who can throw perfect passes left and right? I'm not getting.
I don't get it either, man. I like him a lot. I'm with you. You've been hyping him up from the moment the Warriors got him, and I don't blame you. I like him a lot. I don't get it. He's 6'10". He's a big boy. And he's on the team. You have him. He's playing for Santa Cruz right now.
Right.
I'm with you.
I don't get it. All right, so hey, we're going to let you go because it's almost midnight, and we're going to call it quits. But what do you got planned? What do you got planned for tomorrow? What's your turkey?
Going to Reno, man. I'm going to see my dad for a few days and just take time off, dude. Just do some a little mental.
Warriors go when?
They play the Jazz at home Friday.
What
do you guys think?
Will you be locking on
No,
Friday?
I'm taking a break, just on vacation. No, Locked On Warriors is on vacay.
They'll beat the Jazz.
Till Monday,
and then Monday I'll come back with James Wiseman trade proposals.
Wow.
We'll start there. We'll
Danny, you got something you want to say to Cy? Go ahead.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Cy.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving too, man. You guys are kicking me off so you can what? So you get it like. Is it back to the Poole Boys
calling
Club?
it a night. I mean,
yeah,
Danny
we're going to call it a night.
Danny's, first of all, the power goes off at Del Boca Vista at midnight.
Does it really?
It's 1 in the morning. I'm past the curfew here. I'm not even supposed to be up in my own place.
Oh, look at that. That's contraband. You know what we're thinking about? Funny? You know what we've been thinking about doing, Si, is we're thinking about putting a GoPro on Dan's dog Buster during the show, so we could have like Buster Cam. What do you think of that?
Buster?
I 100%.
How sweet would that be?
Hey, you know what's funny, man? The last time I joined you guys, well, first of all, I came on last episode, and then Dan and Ryan tricked me. They didn't tell me you weren't going to be part of it. I'm just kidding. No, that whole thing was a bit. But no, the last time I was on with you guys, though, when you were there, I bounced out, and then I opened my phone. I was a late night. I was grading papers or something. It was almost 2 in the morning. It was still going on? And I opened up YouTube because I subscribed to you, and there you guys are just talking. I'm like, what the fuck is that? You guys before me, and I actually opened it for a second. I forgot what you were talking about. It was so random. It had nothing to do with sports. I forgot it was.
Oh, it was me and Rye still?
No, and it was Larry. It was all three of you guys. It was so late. Like, what time do you get up in the morning when you do a show like that? Like, what? Are you back at it like 8? I mean, what are you doing?
I mean, it depends. It depends. I mean, sometimes, we'll go till 1 o'clock in the morning. And in that situation, I would say I'm a 10 a.m.
What we were going to do, Si, the other night where you came on, you go, I'm just tired. I'm just wasted. We talked about it on the show. We said, should we just call him right now? Like it's 1:30 in the morning. We were up till we were going. Should we just give Cy a call and see if we just piss him off?
One night we went really, really late because Rye was digging in his heels in some major argument, and I think it got so heated that we didn't want to like hang up right then. So then we took us another hour to like talk it out to the point where we weren't hating each other.
Yeah, Romo says after midnight the conversation gets sideways.
Yeah, exactly. Get sideways. All right, Cy. Hey, Cy, you muted yourself.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I was there for one of those. This one, Dan ate dog food, so I get it.
It was human grade.
Human grade
is what Dan.
Human grade. Let's not put that out there too much. Dog food. We don't want. I'm trying to build a new career here in the media. I don't need those takes out there too much.
Positive, man. It makes you unique. It makes you stand out.
Yeah.
I like it. I think you should do
it. Hey, Larry's a vampire. The Pasquale sausage he prefers raw.
So Larry, how does that work for you, man? Like the next day, are you just a zombie? Like when you're up till?
Yeah, I mean, if we stay up till like midnight, no problem. 1 a.m., no problem. But if I go to bed anything later than 2, I'm having a hard time getting up and around.
Yeah, I've been falling asleep at 4 o'clock in the morning on this bad stretch. I just took some NyQuil, see if I can get some sleep tonight.
Oh my God, I hope so. Yeah. Why don't you take those Benadryls? Like those usually
or Benadryl or what's that melatonin stuff? Sometimes whatever. I got to get some sleep. Problem is, I get up, I get to bed after being on the the show for a while. And I'm kind of wound up, and I start looking at my fantasy football roster. And
Danny
then
starts proposing trades. At
I
2
start
o'clock in the
wheeling.
morning.
I start wheeling and dealing at
My wife's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, it's Dan, Coach Emilio, making a fantasy trade. Let me see your phone. See, Justin Fields. He's offering me Justin Fields. Well, it's like that's what happens. The occupational hazard of late night.
Dan, I get it though, because like I'm guessing you're probably like really still like adrenaline's flowing from the show.
Yeah, it takes a while to wind down.
Yeah, I get it.
And then I'll just start reading, and then I look at and I start reading the fantasy stats. I've actually made some pretty good deals here. I was like in last place, and I'm moving
Danny's
up.
turned himself into Farhan. He's made like a ton of moves.
Yeah, is Aaron Judge coming?
What's that?
What's that?
If I'll say if Aaron Judge comes to the Giants, it'll be the first time in 15 years I'll be interested in the Giants. Okay?
Well, see, did you hear that, Farhan? Larry Bear, first time.
I hate Larry Bear, but despite him, I'll still.
You'd bring back so many fans.
2007 is when I left the Giants train, man, and Larry's a huge reason why. That's the extent of what I'll say about it. But I'll come back. I will come back if Aaron Judge is part of it, man, because that team is cheap. And they always try to do this penny pinching route to. They won 3 championship World Series titles just doing that. I don't know how the fuck that worked out.
Cut that into a short and put it on Twitter.
What time's the World Cup start? Larry. What time's the World Cup start tomorrow?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Isn't it USA England tomorrow, or is that Friday? Might be Friday.
2 hours and 1 minute. 2 hours in, we're going to cut a short, and then we're going to put that on Larry's Twitter tomorrow. That Cy said he would come back to the Giants after 15 years. They sign Aaron Judge. We got to have Lynn cut that short, put it on Twitter, and then there we are. We got to get this thing
love
rolling.
That team, man.
Happy Thanksgiving, bro. We're gonna jump.
Hey, hang on in the green room. I want to hear who your. I want to hear that media thing with.
2 a.m. is when Switzerland and Cameroon play. So there you go.
Nice.
All right. What do you guys do for Thanksgiving?
Put you in the green room. Danny wants to get.
Plan?
Well, we're gonna be. We're doing in-laws. The in-laws.
Where?
El Dorado.
Okay,
El Dorado.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Short and sweet drive. And Dan, you're in El Boca Vista.
El Boca Vista, yeah. Got the turkey. Hey, I brought the turkey out last night. It did or 2 nights ago. We did a 360 spin on it. I threw it up, and then I did a 720 side. Had the turkey. just you got to check that show out. At the end of the show, a couple nights ago.
And before I go, I just a shameless plug at the top of my Twitter page at DogSurfRoadshow. Rick Barry and I have some shirts and hoodies we sell. We have our own little apparel company with a few logos. My favorite one is Rocco Thompson, Clay's dog, surfing. And
cool.
So if you need a gift idea, there's also a Rick Barry jersey shirt. That's probably like the best one. It has like the city logo.
Message, TTC Reels. Danny, do not try to deep fry a frozen turkey.
No, we're not doing a deep fry. We got a pretty good recipe.
Deep fried turkey is freaking great.
Yeah, my wife found an unbelievable recipe. It looks really, really good.
But you gotta submerge it slowly.
She's gonna try it out tomorrow.
So it doesn't splash? Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not only that, I mean, it will blow up. I mean, I've seen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you go Google it. You can go on YouTube.
This isn't. Mine's not frozen anymore now. It's thawed.
But you know what's funny? I had a deep fried turkey a couple of years ago. BCAS says, Larry, you got to do a call-in show. We did a deep fried turkey. My sister-in-law's husband, I guess my brother-in-law did one, and it was really, really good. Now I thought it was going to be okay, there we go.
Get that out of there.
There we go. I thought it was going to be a like really oily and greasy, because it's deep fried. But when you deep fry a turkey, it the oil submerges inside the cavity. So like if you're if you get a regular turkey, it's more cooked on the outside than it is on the inside. So it might be
right. It
could be dry on the outside. It could be almost uncooked or pink on the inside.
Right.
When you deep fry it, it's like the meat closest to the carcass. It cooks evenly with the meat on the outside because it's all submerged. So it's really unique and really, really good.
Oh, I've never
All
had
right.
that.
Well,
Sounds
hey,
good.
hey, we're gonna let's
Happy Thanksgiving.
hey, hang into the green room. I want to hear something from you. Don't
All right,
leave.
so
Don't
let's
leave
go to the
room.
green room. Danny, go ahead and talk to him in the green room, and then I will just play the final spots here. Thanks everybody who's participated on the show tonight. But first, let's get a word from our sponsors on the Krueg Show.
Larry Kruger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, you get the wink from Pasquale. You know we're almost out of time, almost bolting to the door. We got this one from Eric. Danny says, hope we hear those Judge to the Giants rumors sometime today.
That would be nice.
GTC Reels. Have a great Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you. Matthew Mears says, take a shot of NyQuil, Larry. Hope you feel better. Yeah, you know, this actually literally came on during this live stream. I was not sneezing or wheezing or anything like that until about
might be an allergy. The fact that it came on that fast.
You know, we had so many people sick the last couple of weeks that I think I was just the last to get it. I'd held out. My kids all got sick. I didn't get it. Here we go. I'm going to be sick. I'm going to wind up sneezing on Thanksgiving. All right, Danny, happy Thanksgiving to you. And we will talk to you in a couple of days. Hopefully, if the Giants do wind up with Aaron Judge, when I get back from my Thanksgiving night, I will get on and we'll do a live stream. Friday, I am sitting in on 95.7 The Game. I got to double check the time, but we'll be on for middle of the day, I believe. For maybe it's in the afternoon. I believe.
Who are you on with?
I'm on with. I'm sitting in for. I think I'm sitting in for Damon. I think I'm on with Sean Salisbury.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk a little football with Sean Salisbury, and then I'll be on Sunday with John Dickinson on Sunday talking Niners before the Warrior game.
Yeah, I saw him a little bit this morning. Was watching a little bit. Yeah.
There you go. Vicky says check for COVID. Thank you. Already had it twice. There you go. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Romo 2001. All right, Danny, we will check you out. Have a phenomenal holiday. What's your favorite part of Thanksgiving? What will you be eating the most of tomorrow? Are you cooking?
Yeah, my wife is doing the turkey. I'm a big mashed potato guy. I love mashed potatoes and gravy.
Ooh. Yeah. Gravy can save even a bad turkey or bad stuffing or dry potatoes.
Turkey's okay, but it's like
do you like dark meat or white meat?
I prefer dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the breast meat.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you get a good tender, juicy turkey, it's pretty good. But if you get one that's dried out, it's kind of like I know. Last time we got a Distel, I think it was, and it was like 22 pounds, and it came out perfect. But I was a little worried because it was like, I hadn't done a turkey in a long time, and it's like, wait a second, am I going to be able to do this? Yeah.
Cooking a turkey is not the easiest thing. Sometimes if you're cooking it in the oven, you got to wrap the outside with foil so it doesn't get too dry. You know what I mean? You got to tent it a little bit. Also, you want to make sure it's moist inside, but the gravy to me is the stuffing and the gravy and the mashed potatoes. It's hard to beat it. Yeah. All right, Danny, have a great one. We will see you soon. Thanks everybody who participated. Have a great night, everybody. And until next time for Danny, I'm Larry. Have a great night.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.